Well, I don't expect you to know exactly what this all means that I'm going to go through today, but I found this to be absolutely intriguing, being that this was actually one of the reasons why I decided to move to my own company. There's a headline out right now, and Compass transaction fees under fire in new class action lawsuit. So Compass is one of the largest, if not the largest, brokerage in the United States now. They've come under fire with a potential class action lawsuit that was filed in Palm Beach County in Florida. There was a couple of clients who did business with Compass agents. And of course, the brokerage, as agents are tied to the brokerage, and they were charged a $475 fee, and it just didn't sit right with them. They scratched their heads trying to figure out what the heck is up with this $475 fee. Well, I'm sure the agents basically just said, well, that's the fee that our company charges in order to do business with us. So they paid the fee, apparently not very happily. They went to consult with attorneys or a legal department, whoever it might be. They looked at it and said, yeah, this looks like a situation, potential lawsuit, but let's go file this sucker with Palm Beach County. As we all know, it only costs, it's less than $100 to go file a suit against anybody, really. So, why not? So as they have done that, this has now put Compass on notice, and they fired back basically stating that this is becoming an industry standard. We've done this in other markets. We're doing this, in these like Chicago, Philadelphia, and they rattle off a whole bunch of, major markets in the U.S. Then they also state that other companies and other brokerages are doing it. So now we're talking about a whole heap of crap that's going to come down in the industry for these quote unquote client service fees or whatever they call them. Now, ultimately, they are just exorbitant fees that are tacked on and charged to the end user, the client, that they must pay for. And some brokerages, they require the agent to pay for them if the client, if they refuse or elect not to pay for those fees. So a few months ago, I was on a panel and I was on a call and going over this, and as it didn't sit well with me when we were asked, what do you guys think? Can we start moving in this direction? And I was like, me personally, I was like, absolutely not. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's going to, raise some other legal issues down the road. Like, how do you legally even charge a fee? And there's got to be specific wording, and there's got to be, if you're going to charge a fee, there's got to be one, a good reason for it, but two, there's got to be some sort of value, something that's benefiting the client. Well, in this case, a lot of brokerages were just saying, well, we're going to keep your information on file. It's going to be safe. It's going to be, secure. And all of us agents and broker associates and brokers are going, that you're supposed to do that already. You are, depending on the state you're in, but I can tell you right now, it's probably all of them. That is your job as a brokerage, to protect your client's information. There are even forms, especially, I'm here in California. So I'm here in California as a broker owner, and there is a form. Now, every agent has to have this form signed by their clients, and it's the Consumer Protection Disclosure. And the full name is like California Consumer Protection Advisory. So, and that states that, we're going to protect their private information. I find it absolutely bonkers in my mind that brokerages went out there and said, well, we're going to start charging additional fees. Now, here's the deal. Just so you guys know, this is the whole underlying thing, because all of the brokerages and companies who have suffered and endured all the lawsuits in the last few years, they figured this was going to be another way for them to increase their revenue. And unfortunately, as we all know, those lawsuits were just frivolous. The only people that actually did benefit from those were the actual attorneys. But now we're talking about a potential lawsuit that couldn't be even teed up better than anything we've ever seen in the past. So it didn't sit well with me, and it just put a fire under my butt going, you know what? I think it's just time to go start my own company. That's what it boiled down to. There was a lot of other things too, but I just said, personally, I feel like the agents are the ones who are getting the business. It's only like 2% of the general population that actually wants to work with, say, a company or a brokerage, right? They typically have the relationship already with the agent. So the agent already establishes the relationship with their clients, which is the end user, who is going to be the buyer or the seller. I personally think the commission between them two, that's their business. Me as a broker, I shouldn't be coming down on them and saying, look, you need to go and have a conversation with your client and also let them know, because they're doing business with us. Us as a company, we're going to charge them X amount of dollars. I don't agree with that. I think it's absolute BS. So in most cases, those agents are given that form and they have to go to their client and say, look, we're charging an additional fee on top of my commission. And it's all there within the form. I've seen these forms because I've file reviewed many transactions. So I've seen these. I've actually seen them in purchase contracts. I've seen them in listing agreements. I've seen them in addendums. I've seen them in all kinds of different documents, but they're in there. And I think it's great that the end users are catching wind of it. They found it, and now they're going, look, we're taking this to legal and see what happens. Getting back to my point, the commission between the agent and the client, that's their business. Now, what the agent pays back to the brokerage, because they have to hang their license with a brokerage or a broker in order to operate, unless they are a broker owner, they're their own broker. But in this case, we make it easy and say that the agent now has their agreement with their broker to pay back X amount based upon their independent contractor agreement and any exhibits that were also agreed upon to pay the broker whatever appropriate fees that they've agreed to. Now we've separated that, right? And I think that it's important to explain this, and I know it's a lot if you're not in this industry, but it's important to explain that because my relationship with my agent, that's our business. That's our arrangement. That's what we've agreed to. And then the agent goes and has a conversation with their client, and what their agreed upon commission is, that's their business. And I think that's where we need to understand that's where it needs to lie. That's where it needs to sit. That's where it needs to stay. But when a brokerage, a company says, well, you as the agent, you work for us. So here's a form, go out there and go get this thing signed. And if you can't get it signed by them and you can't get them to agree, then you are on the hook for paying it to the company. So when I looked at this and I said, this is going to be one big, nasty potential class action lawsuit in California if brokerages and companies are moving in this direction, in this fashion. I didn't want to be a part of that, to be honest with you. I just said, you know what? That wasn't like the final straw that broke the camel's back, but I mean, that's many of straws that I just said, you know what? I think it's just time to go out on my own. And when you have a potential lawsuit like that in the most highly litigated state, and you as someone who talks to many attorneys on a weekly basis, like I already knew this one was going to be a problem. I mean, I tried to explain it. I tried to say, look, and I not even persuade, because persuade would be the wrong word. I tried to explain that you are just as a company, setting up and teeing up the most perfect lawsuit after just paying out oodles of millions to settle past lawsuits. And the answers were, well, how do we recoup the money that we've lost in the past? I think it's pretty wild to try to recoup money from past lawsuits with a potential another lawsuit. But I don't know. I'm just giving you guys a story. I think it's an incredible story to follow as we see what's going to happen. If you're in this industry, you probably already aware of it. If I'm a guessing guy, I'm going to say that this thing's going to move to California pretty quickly. I thought it was actually going to be here already sooner, but I mean, it's starting out in Florida. We'll probably see it hit, other states soon enough, but I would imagine California is definitely high on the list. They're going to start looking into files. We're probably going to see clients of this same company, which would be Compass. We're probably going to see attorneys, they're going to start sending those letters out going, if you were a victim of paying $475 out of pocket when you didn't know, or you were unaware of, or it wasn't explained to you properly, or you didn't know that you didn't have to pay it, you watch, this thing's going to get nuts. So just so you guys all know, that's one of the reasons why I was like, I don't really want to be a part of that anymore. I think that it's best just to keep things clean and transparent. Also, not charging exorbitant fees to clients who already have entrusted us to do business with us. And I believe that the commission that was agreed upon in the agreement, so that's the purchase agreement or the listing agreement, that's what stands. That's it, done. Anyhow, that's my rant for the day. This thing has been going on for like the last week. I think it was like June 26th when it came out. But to be quite honest with you guys, I will just say I'll probably be doing more of these videos again. I've just been so crazy busy with everything that's been happening. It's not like that I am veering away from like what's going on in the real estate world. I've just been so busy with my real estate company and all of the procedures and processes that we had to put in place that I just really didn't have a lot of time to really explain a lot of things that's going on in our industry. But I plan on doing some more. So we'll see you then.